Okay, now let us begin with an Narayan's short story, An Astrologer's Day. As the title itself indicates, the story actually talks about what happens in one day of astrologer's life. In the introductory part of the short story, we see that we are told about an astrologer and his appearance and his also place of business where he did his business. He began his business right at the midday with his professional equipments. His professional equipments mainly consisted of a dozen cowrie shells, a square piece of cloth with obscure mystic charts on it, a notebook, and a bundle of Palmyra writing. His appearance suited very much to his profession, and we are told that his forehead was resplendent with sacred ash and vermilion, and his eyes sparkled, having been painted placed between forehead and dark whiskers that streamed down his cheeks. To crown the effect, actually, he owned a saffron colored turban around his head. The Town Hall Park Road actually represented many kinds of trades, variety of trades like the medicine seller was there, a seller of stolen hardware and junk was there, magicians, and also an auctioneer of cheap cloth actually who created a lot of noise over there, and a vendor of fried groundnut who gave his name, a fancy name, each day to his ware. One day he used to call it as Bombay ice cream, next day as just Raja's delicacy, and the next Delhi's almond. Then the writer goes on to say that the astrologer never had any knowledge of astrology. This comes as a shocking one. You see, being an astrologer, of course, we expect a person to have some knowledge of astrology. But we are told that he did his, of course, he did his business not by the knowledge of astrology, but by studying the clients, by studying his customers, and by practice. Every day he used to see the people and making a shrewd guesswork. He used to guess what kind of problem the person might be in. And of course, he had a very good general common sense and knowledge of human life. So he knew that how a man is suffer or a man suffers usually with a kind of troubles like marriage, money, or human relationships. Whenever a customer came to him, he let the customer talk at least for 5 to 10 minutes and he never opened his mouth. So during that time, he got answers for dozen of his questions. He charged only 3 pies per question. Here comes the most important and interesting part of the story, where a stranger appears as a customer on the scene. He challenges the astrologer, saying that he has some questions to ask, and if he proves or if he can answer them satisfactorily, then if he proves that he is bluffing, then he has to pay back in the interest. After a bargain, he agrees to pay him 8 annas and demands to answer his only question: shall I succeed in my present search or not? He just wants an answer for that. And the astrologer succeeds to answer all his questions just perfectly, satisfactorily. How could he do it? At this point, I think we have to go back to his past life, where an incident has changed his life. As a silly youngster, he had the habit of drinking, gambling, and others. One day, in a drunken state, he had a quarrel with his friend Guru Nayak, and he even tried to attack him with a knife. He passed the knife into his body in a fit of anger. Thinking that he has killed his friend, he pushes his body into the well and runs away from his village. This coveted incident brings a twist in his life. Now we understand the stranger is none other than Guru Nanak himself. He had come in search of his murderer. When the astrologer looks at him in the light of the chariot, of course he just wants to withdraw his challenge, but Guru Nanak presses upon it. Guru Nanak fails to recognize astrologer in his new getup, whereas the astrologer cleverly makes use of the present situation to his advantage. He calls him by his name, Guru Nanak, and says that he knows everything about him and narrates the details of the past incident and cautions him to get his village without delay, saying that the murderer of Guru Nanak has been dead. He reaches his home being relieved of guilt. Thus, the story ends with a twist which leaves the readers thrilled. Thus, the writer keeps the interest of the readers till the end. Hope you enjoyed the short story. Thank you.